It is Monday on Daily Delivery. I'm Michael Rand, Patrick Reusse here with me as well. Patrick, we got to get to a bunch of stuff today. You know, as we've said, this time of year it gets crowded. Although maybe a little bit of a chance to spread things out a little bit since the Vikings don't play until tonight. But we'll certainly set up that game against the Eagles, Monday Night Football. Gophers beat Colorado badly this weekend. Colorado got beat so badly their AD felt the need to apologize. I'll read that to you in a little bit as well. Minnesota United in trouble, some other NFL stuff. Patrick, Twins, we got to talk about them because this is probably the last time we will talk about them and their 2022 season in any kind of meaningful way, at least until maybe it's over and we kind of reflect a little bit more on it. But losing the first 3 games of the series to Cleveland when they pretty much needed to win at least 3, probably 4 to have any kind of realistic pathway. And it felt like it was pretty much done anyway, even before they went into it, because they just haven't been able to beat this team regularly lately. But the way they did it, Patrick, the way they did it on Friday, when, kind of the fashion in which they lost, I was at least gratified by the fact that they died doing what they loved, which was building a nice lead from a good but short start from a starter, in this case Bailey Ober, and then coughing it all up in the bullpen.
Yeah, and it wasn't even all the bullpen. It was not making a play in the field. Nick Gordon kicking the ball, starting the rally, right? Didn't he start the rally?
I think so, yeah.
With a little ground ball, he was going to, be cute, run around behind it. They, like shortstops do. This was second base, and he started that rally, and they ended up giving up 3 runs, giving up the lead, and then it became inevitable that they were going to get beat. That was a horrible loss. It was just one thing being you get the 3-run lead and you don't do any of that. That was typical too. You get the 3-run lead and you don't do anything to add on to it the rest of the game. And that was terrible. And then, if you wanted an exclamation point, Saturday night, you get the free runner on second base for 6 consecutive innings. And then the one time you get him home, Derek Rodriguez is 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning and gives up a base hit to tie it. And they end up losing in, 15 innings, right? 15 innings. And they scored 1 run and get the free runner on second. And 5 hours, almost 5.5 hours. And they end up getting beat anyway with unbelievable opportunities to win it. So,
yes.
It was just very typical of them, and the Friday and the Saturday losses just were so told us so much about how the season's actually gone since June, basically, that all the failings of this team and Phil Miller had a fantastic stat on the doubleheader on Saturday. They had 5 outfielders who played.
Yes.
None of them were active at the All-Star break. None of them were here. None of them were here.
At the All-Star break.
At the All-Star break. None of them were here. And they went 1 for 25.
Unbelievable.
On the doubleheader, the outfielders. Yeah. I mean, they're playing guys that Jake Cave is an Iron Man. He got here.
Yes.
He got here on August 2nd, and with the idea, he might get 20 at bats before the year's over, right? He's been there every day. He's
been there, yeah.
I mean, they're just, it's easy to bash the hell out of them, but it's also, they're not playing if you would have, I saw some guy who's pretty good on Twitter, I can't remember what his name was, but he said this: if you would have given anyone this lineup in June 1st, this is what you would have predicted was going to happen, right?
Yes.
Now they didn't have this lineup all that time, but
no.
I mean, here's what kind of frustrates you. You looked and say, okay, Buxton is what we thought he was. He can't play. He's not gonna start 100 games, right? He's not gonna start 100 games, 92 games or something like that. And I'm convinced. I became convinced when this whole patella knee thing came out that the reason he and his agent took $100 million is they know this is chronic, and that he's never gonna be anything approaching a full-time player. And I mean, what good, as this season leaves, what is there to feel good about? There's about 8 or 9 guys who were better than you thought they were, right? There's a Rise, and some of a couple of Duran was fantastic.
Yes,
Griffin Jacks, even though he helped puke the other night, was way better than we thought. There's a few guys that like that, but Caleb Thielbar. But when push comes to shove, there's really nothing to feel good about as the season ends. Correa's leaving. Royce Lewis is hurt, not ready to replace him. This Palacios should be playing in Wichita or someplace worse than that. He's god awful. There's just very little to feel good about as the season ends, and they're probably very lucky if they finish 500. It'll be, I said 78-84, I think, after they got Correa, and then I said and when they started showing all the flaws in June, I said they're still going to be 78-84, and that's a very good chance that's what they're going to end up being.
Yeah.
So it's. It for a season in which they flirted for thanks to the division, it's the amount of PR value they have as this season leaves is virtually nil, and the attendance has been terrible, and they're going to be 20th in Major League Baseball in attendance, and they're going to have by far the lowest attendance they've had at Target Field, except for the pandemic year, and then last year when they had limited attendance for a while. But it's kind of a death march here to the finish now.
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, it's entirely predictable, like you said, because of everything that you look at with the flaws they already had coming into the season just being magnified by injuries. And then Buxton's the big disappointment. Because for a while there, he was tracking to play something in the neighborhood of 115, 120 games, something like that before this latest thing. And you knew as soon as it happened, like when it was the knee and the hip, it was like, okay, I know they're saying all the right things. They're saying might rejoin them on this road trip.
Yeah, trip. Yeah, New York. He was going to be in New York.
He's disappointed. Boy, he wants to be here, but it's just not the right time, and it's not a chance. No. Not a chance now. And then the other ones, Kirilloff, Larnack is just probably, a team
Blanco, what the hell is that about? Him not, they were going to rehab him and have him in Cleveland on Saturday, and he played 5 innings in St. Paul. And that was it. He's the guy that was always your Iron Man who played through anything.
MGM Wine and Spirits is the choice for savings, service, and a great selection of spirits, pre-mixed cocktails, wines, and of course, ice-cold beers and hard seltzers. With over 30 locations throughout the Twin Cities and beyond, there's an MGM near you. Head to mgmwineandspirits.com to find a convenient location in your area. Get social. Follow MGM on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest news and trends. Make great moments with MGM Wine and Spirits, your locally owned and operated choice for over 50 years. Save time, save money. Shop MGM.
They have to really sit down at the end of this year, and they're not going to blow out Felby. They're not going to blow out Levine. They're not going to blow out Rocco, I don't believe.
No.
But they have to evaluate everything they are doing philosophically.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yes.
This idea of pulling out starters the third time. Okay, because you have some stats. The pressure that puts on your bullpen is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Especially when you don't have the bullpen to do it. It would be one thing if you had the bullpen to do it.
Yeah. Well, the other day he fires all his bullets trying to win the game on Friday night, and he has no one left.
With the doubleheader.
Yeah, he goes into the doubleheader. They have to really look at what they're doing, and of course, they also have to look at what they're doing. Another thing they have to look at is the theory that they're going to give guys. What do they call them? They call them scheduled days of rest,
maintenance days.
Yeah, the scheduled days of rest in April and May. All of a sudden you'd show up in Korea and Buxton wouldn't be in a lineup, and Buxton, you could see some of the reasons for it with Buxton. Because they were going to be so healthy down the stretch here. This was going to help them to get. That does not work. It's baseball. If you can play, you play. You put your best lineup out there. You give a guy a day off when he's exhausted. You don't decide on March 27th that when we play on May 4th, we're not going to play these two guys.
Right.
It's scheduled day off. This crap about deciding at 1:30 in the afternoon whether Dylan Bundy can face a lineup 3 times or not is just they have to look at all these genius things. They also have to look at all the breaking balls that they throw and put pressure on these pitchers' arms.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at that. They don't throw any fastballs. Nobody throws fastballs on this team, and it's harder on the arm.
Yep.
It's harder on control. It leads to longer counts. They don't put guys away. Thielbar should become their role model. He throws a curveball and a fastball. That's all he does. He once in a while he'll flip a slider up there, but they have to, stop trying to make the perfect pitch to the number 8 hitter and go into 3-2 counts. They also have to look and see, what did we do to screw up Jorge Lopez? He came here. He was one of the best relievers in the league. He went after hitters. He with his 97-mile-an-hour swing. How did we manage to take our wonderful philosophy with the Josh Kalk world of analyzing pitchers and how we were going to fix everybody? How did they fix Jorge Lopez and turn him into Emilio Pagan? How did they do that? They got to look at themselves. They really have to take a hard look at themselves. And I don't know if they have the I don't know if they can lower their egos to do so. And they should blow some people out of that. The brain trust, not necessarily coaches, although I'm not sure about a couple of the coaches, but not the coaches. Some of the analytical geniuses that they have walking around telling them this is the way they should approach pitching should be called out, and that should be said, hey, go someplace else. We're gonna go back to a more hardcore philosophy of pitching, and again, they should look at the reason Wes Johnson really left.
Yes.
And see, is there something we're doing here with our whole pitching philosophy that is screwed up?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they need to. I think some of the 130 crew needs to go, like the guys that are.
Yes, yeah, those are the guys. I mean, everybody, get rid of this coach, get rid of Pete Mackey, which I wouldn't be totally against, just because I don't think he has the personality for that job. But look at the whole thing you're doing here. It's this get back to more of a philosophy of durability in our baseball players. What are we going to do to make these guys durable, make them aggressive? Their pitching is so unaggressive is what drives me crazy. Go after some hitters. And if a guy's cruising through 5 innings against the Angels, don't hook him because 2 weeks ago somebody beat him up with a third time around the batting order. They just, oh man, that whole thing.
Play with a little bit of feel, play with a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's, a couple of other points on that, then maybe we'll move on. But I think you're absolutely right. I think part of this is what turned fans off this year. I think this kind of emotionless decision making. When we saw it, I'm not saying Rocco is completely emotionless. He did, he had his moments this year with, in the moment calls. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like decisions, like you said, that are made even before a game context unfolds, really, or that doesn't really take into account how a game is flowing or what might be coming up tomorrow, things like that. And the other thing is, it was a perfect example this weekend. One, you pull Bailey Ober, and again, Bailey Ober, is coming off of a long injury, but he's made 3 rehab starts, I think, up to that point.
He's cruising.
5 innings, 1 hit, 70 pitches.
Yes.
You couldn't get one more inning out of Bailey Ober at least,
then when you pull him, you're going to end up using all 4 of the guys you want to use to try to end the game.
Yes.
And then you don't. You get one more inning out of him. You don't have to use all those guys.
Right.
They got Rand running on fumes, I think.
Yes.
I mean, you got to look at the foundation of his innings, career-wise coming into this game, coming into this season. They've gotten the optimum out of him. And,
yes.
Don't get yourself in a situation where you're going to have to use him. I mean, it's, I don't know. You're right. I mean, they just how they've used their pitching is just idiotic in my opinion. And
the other point on that before I'll move on to Gopher football was, I think I read a stat. Joe Ryan pitched very well again on Sunday, the game they actually won against Cleveland. So they're 6 back with 16 to play. Those teams play once more today. But really, that's their last chance against Cleveland. It's over. But he pitched really well. And I believe I read a stat though, that was only the second time all year that a Twins pitcher started the 8th inning.
Second time all year.
I believe Bundy did it once when they let him.
Gray did it once. Gray never did it. Huh?
I don't think Gray ever did it, but I think I read that it was the second time a Twin starter pitched into the 8th inning. I mean, it's just I'd like there's a really crude statement to say bleep them, and they just they have made it hard to now people have overreacted. I agreed with hooking Joe Ryan, and it turned out it was a good idea during the no-hitter, because he wouldn't have been you wouldn't have gotten what you got out of him yesterday. But it is stupid. You just have to you can't put this much pressure on a bullpen that was really a bad bullpen until August. So, and then when you went and got some relievers, Mike Fulmer turned out to be the best of them. So it's it's a pitching philosophy that has failed. That's for sure. I looked it up quick.
But they also have to look at how they turned Kepler into a complete stiff. That's another thing. How did their wonderful theories of hitting and all these things and firing hitting coaches and the like get to a point where this guy goes from 38 home runs and 90 some RBIs to this? How did they do that? What have you done to make your team worse with your philosophy? That's what they gotta look at, is how have we screwed these guys up? Because they have screwed up a lot of players.
Yes. I tweeted this sarcastic the other day too, not to rub salt in the wound of some bad decisions. And we've talked about this before, but I tweeted something like, starting to believe that the Twins might not pick up the club options on Randy Dobnik for 2026, 27, and 28. They have team options for those 3 years, Patrick.
How he got $9 million when it happened, you said, what?
He
had 4 years before
he had pitched pretty well in 2020 and 2021, but there was absolutely no reason to sign him to that contract. Just let the team control years play out. There was no reason to do that.
Oh, they just have done some. That ranks right up there with, hey, I got an idea. We're running out of outfielders. Let's bring in Billy Hamilton. We can be the Go-Go Twins. We can become the Go-Go Twins.
We got you on the Billy Hamilton. We got you on Billy Hamilton again. That's good.
We might steal a base this month. Let's go get him. Oh, yeah. Now you got me. Now you ruined my day.
I'm sorry.
My mind is blazing with abuse I want to heap on them. So it's bad.
Maybe we'll save it for the end of the year. We better move on. Speaking of Speaking of disappointment, I want to read to you. The Gophers beat Colorado so bad on Saturday. It was 49-7, I think was the final, that the Colorado athletic director, Rick George, felt the need to put out a statement. I saw it on Twitter. I saw it. Someone from our copy desk put it on one of our Slack channels, but it said, "Dear Buffalo supporters, like all of you, I've been disappointed to watch our football team struggle this fall, most recently yesterday at Minnesota. I know that our coaches and our student athletes are capable of so much more and that you deserve better results. I want you to know that I hear you. I recognize and understand your disappointment and frustration and perhaps even anger. We have not come close to meeting our expectations this season, blah, blah, blah. Regardless of your feelings right now in Colorado football, I encourage you to continue to support our tremendous football student athletes who need your cheers, encouragement, and support now more than ever." And it talks about hopefully enjoying a home victory Saturday over UCLA. I don't think so, but good luck with that, everybody. So the Gophers are so good. They're forcing the opponents to issue apologies for being so bad.
Well, there's, the schedule has been, not exactly potent, but their numbers are just, what do they outgain the other team by like 1,200 yards or something?
Well, I mean,
over 1,100 yards they've outgained their three opponents by. It's incredible. Yeah. And I go back to when poor Goody was left with the schedule where they were going to at Colorado, at Nebraska, and at Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right.
And in a 5-year period. And I believe the result that was when the cheating Christian, Billy McCartney was, the Promise Keepers, he was one of the greatest cheats in the history of college football, but he was also the founder of the Promise Keepers. So he was a Christian cheater, but I think it was 58-0 out there. I was out there for a 58-0 game against them, and they have hit the skids about the last 10 years, and they're awful. And you know what? They're going to get left out of the whole. I wonder if they'll get back into I wonder if the big, when this Big 12, Pac-12 merger thing comes to life, if they end up in the Mountain West, or something. I mean, they might be standing on the curb, those people, but they're. Wow, but the Gophers should get a lot of credit. I mean, they have just been mauling people with this new offensive line, and they lost Ottman Bell, which people are really sad about. But running the ball is their strength anyway. So, and playing defense, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Now, Michigan State, which was supposed to be a tough one on the schedule and still could be, but they go out and get pummeled by Washington. It wasn't even close.
Right.
Apparently, Michigan State's pass defense is terrible, so we'll see if the Gophers can move that way against them. But I had this thought about the Gophers. This is like they're good. I mean, Ibrahim is terrific, and they're blocking for him, and they're doing it. I think they're, I'm surprised how good they are. They lost most of their defense, but so far we haven't seen any downgrade in that at all. But you look at the West, how can they possibly lose it? Wisconsin has to go to Wisconsin's at Ohio State this week. Yeah. They're going to get beat by 30. Then they also have to go to Michigan, I believe.
Yes, I believe that's
also play Michigan. They also play Michigan.
Yes.
So, and I thought Purdue might be a team to look out for, and they lose to Syracuse, for goodness sakes. And they're just terrible penalty wise and mistake wise and turnover wise. And so who's going to beat them? I was completely ineffective offensively. So what are they going to do? I mean, who's going to beat them? You look at this schedule, they win on Saturday. When's their first loss? Penn State.
Right. Yeah.
Penn State's November sometime, right?
Yes. No, it sets up very nicely for them. The thing we don't know is how good they are, because they've played like three of the worst teams in college football. You're right, they look really good, but sometimes when you play teams that are so much worse than you, and these teams have not just lost to the Gophers, they've been losing to everybody, Western Illinois, New Mexico State, and Colorado. But yeah, I mean, Michigan State is certainly this opportunity, right, to show, are they really do they really have that juice. But even if they lose to Michigan State, which would be forgivable, it's just wide open. This Big Ten West is as bad as I can remember it, or at least as wide open. Nice euphemism. By the way, Patrick, did you see last week all the Iowa stuff with the guys who had the cameo stuff? Did you see that?
I don't quite get it. How do I talk people into doing this? Am I paying them to do
it?
Or what?
Yes. The Cameo is this website where, celebrities sign up for it, and you can pay them a certain amount of money to record a personalized video message for you.
And these guys don't pay any, they could be doing it for a serial killer, and we don't know. They don't know? They just read it.
They have no idea. They just
They don't do any research on what they're talking about.
Nope, just give me the money. So whoever got Fran McCaffrey and who is it, Bob Stoops, I think, to do it.
Now, did they know they were talking about Brian Ferentz?
No, that was the thing.
They were talking about a guy named Brian.
They were just talking about a guy named Brian who, whoever set it up just crafted it beautifully and had it sound like it was about just a generic Brian, but it was very clearly used to be about Brian Ferentz. It was just an all-time great fan gag.
Bob Stoops has got more money than God, right?
Right.
He got Oklahoma paid him hundreds of millions, and he's still such a cheap SOB. He's doing these things. What is wrong with these?
Sometimes people do these as like their charitable thing or something like that. They donate the money to charity. I have no idea what Bob Stoops and Fran McCaffrey are doing, but yes. And Fran McCaffrey is only I think Fran McCaffrey's rate on it was like $50.
Wow.
You get Fran McCaffrey to record you a 20-second video message for $50.
Yeah, well, when do they take their time to do it during the day? He's
I don't know. It's just like
coach. What's he doing?
I don't know. Just randomly in a hallway. Hey, can you record this now?
Congratulations to whoever humiliated these jackasses for taking these cheap.
Nobody looks good.
What a bunch of idiots! What are they doing it for? Why would you do it? Send somebody a check instead of doing these. What the hell? If it's a charity. Send somebody a check, for God's sake. Yeah. But yeah, it was great. It was great. How about then they finally win a game and it takes like 12 hours.
Right.
It ended at 3 a.m. What had these incredible lightning delays, right? Down there.
It was amazing. But
that's another. Let me don't get me started on sports and the lightning.
Okay.
If you can't see it, you keep playing. Okay. This whole idea, there's lightning 12 miles away. We got to stop playing. Drives me crazy.
That makes sense. Okay.
I was at the college softball World Series with the Gophers. The sun was shining, and they made us stop playing for 3 hours because there was lightning in, Bartlettsville or some damn place. Anyway, okay.
So
I'm anti lightning delays unless you can see it. Okay.
You're anti delays everywhere.
Yes, I am. Play ball. Let's go.
So you said you had a Vikings thought that you wanted to connect to the Gophers.
Well, my connect with the Gophers is that you look at the NFC now, and it is when has it last been this unimpressive? Right?
Yeah.
And you look at the Big Ten West, it's never been this bad. So now we don't know. We know less about the Vikings than we do about the Gophers, right?
I think that's true. Yeah,
they're playing tonight at Philly, and Philly's just mediocre. But if let's say they go in and they look close to as good as they did against Green Bay, and the Gophers, you look around right now, and the Gophers have got to be favorites in the West. Who do you? It's kind of similar to me this year that the opportunity is huge.
Yes.
Obviously to be the big one, just numerically, it's easier in the Big Ten West because there's only 7 teams and you might have the best talent. But when you look around the NFC, and nobody frightens you. No, if you're good, and the Vikings' first team is pretty good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good, who frightens you? Who scares you in the whole contract? Maybe the Rams might get their act together. I don't know. But it looks like you could really have a good year, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. It is. I mean, Tampa Bay has a defense that's awfully good. They've only given up 13 points all year, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't think there's aside from maybe Tampa Bay, and they're subject to different whims. There's not a great team over the Giants are 2-0 for the love of God with a point differential of +4. So they've obviously gotten some stuff. And Green Bay was better against Chicago. Chicago was terrible. Chicago might be the worst team in the division. Detroit actually has their act together to a certain degree. They've scored 71 points this year. They're maybe not the pushovers they had been, but they're not a good team still. So you're right. It's after one game, they do look like at least one of the 6-7 best teams in the NFC and capable of making the playoffs. And if they win tonight, you probably change that to being they're probably one of the top 4 teams in the NFC.
True. Now San Francisco with Trey Lance breaking his ankle can go back to playing Garoppolo for the rest of the season, and maybe that lifts them up a little bit because Trey did not look like he was ready to play when he played 2 weeks ago. So I mean, bringing back Garoppolo has turned out to be a pretty bit of a genius. But yeah, I don't think New Orleans is they're hanging around, but I don't think they're very good. And Seattle is terrible. And
yeah,
I mean, there is opportunity there, and it'll be interesting to watch tonight. Because as I said, I mean they offensively they have the necessary weapons, and their offensive line isn't as rotten as it's been. So tonight will be very telling as to hey, this could be this not only could they win the NFC North, but they could be a serious contender to go to the Super Bowl and get one for the thumb there, get one for the. We've waited a long time for that 5th loss, and let's go do it. Come on.
I was 2 months old the last time they were even in the Super Bowl, Patrick. So it's a while. It's been a little while. It's been 45 years. Yeah, I think the thing that strikes me too is just I still don't know about the defense. I feel like tonight's game is going to be a shootout. I feel like I think both teams are going to have a hard time stopping the other one, especially Jalen Hurts. Like as good as Aaron Rodgers is, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, he will test them in a way that Aaron Rodgers did. Just the way the combination of those RPOs, the runs, the passes. He's got the whole package. He's more accurate than I think people give him credit for. So that will stress them in a way that they just weren't stressed in that first game.
Yeah, and it's and as I always say, it's who's going to get hurt. What 2 guys are you going to lose, or is it going to be one of those years when you lose 6 guys? So it's who's going to get hurt. But I'm just saying, when if this team was playing on the other side, you would know that there was really no chance to, really have postseason success. But in the AFC, but in the NFC, yeah, I think anything's possible when you look around. And I don't know how the NFL finds itself in this situation with the equality of the draft and everything, that one conference would be so much better than the other, but it's just the way it's fallen this year. So yeah, there's potential there for them, and good luck. I mean, you can't beat those 8:30 at night kickoffs in Philadelphia if you're going there as a visiting fan. It's just fantastic. One of the great nights of my life was I was on the way, I think, to either the American League playoffs or the World Series, but I think it was the World Series. And I stopped in Philadelphia to see the Eagles, who had Herschel Walker, play the Cowboys when they were good, right?
Okay.
On a Monday night, and you're kicking off at 9:10 then.
Yeah, that's right. It was right.
I walked through the parking lot at 6:30, and everyone was hammered and abusive. And this was the old stadium, which was, people who were there for the playoff game with the Vikings talk about having batteries and beers and stuff thrown at them. This is a high class crowd compared to what they used to get at the Vet. And they knew that they could, because the bus was leaving us off the media bus. No, I didn't take a media bus. I don't know. I had a cab driver drop me off, but I was carrying a bag and stuff. And they, they knew I was a reporter, and, and a stout fellow, kind of, I was full sized, and, the abuse being heaped on me was they had no idea who I was, but the foul mouth suggestions of the various, I got accused of bestiality, I think. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Just randomly walking through a crowd.
Yes, just being, and I thought it was the drunkest crowd I'd ever seen in a sporting event, and this was 2.5 hours before kickoff. So if you're a Viking fan going tonight, if you're flying out there this morning, take a helmet.
Yes. Yeah. Take a helmet.
It is an amazing football, and alcohol is just an amazing thing that going to college games, getting drunk, and going to pro games and getting drunk, and staying home and getting drunk. Football and alcohol is, football and alcohol in all sports, but football, it's an amazing camaraderie there.
Yes. I was disappointed to see the Cowboys manage to sneak out of their game the other day with the win, because it was setting up to be one of my favorite kind of games, because they were up 17-3 and they had forced the Bengals to punt, and then they did the dumbest thing in football is the thing they did there. They jumped off sides on a punt on 4th and 4, gave the Bengals the ball. Bengals scored 14 points after that, got it tied up, but then they ended up winning 2017.
Yeah, well, what's with the Super Bowl Bengals? What is
a little hangover? They can't block for Joe Burrow. He's just getting steamrolled.
Yeah.
And that was a problem last year too.
He got steamrolled in the AFC title game and won. Didn't he have 9 sacks?
Yes. Yeah.
Still won, but he's not going to hold up all year if they let him get hit like this, man. It's not going to happen. So.
Well, it's not just the injury too. It's like you take enough hits, you start making safe throws and to not have to get hit. And that's when your offense struggles, because that's where you get off field. And that was part of the problem with Bradford and then Cousins, for some of those years when the line was so bad. It's, you learn not to trust it. And then all of a sudden everything is short of the sticks on 3rd down because you're waiting for the rush, even if it doesn't come. So.
Did you watch any of the Packers late last night?
No, I missed that game.
The Rodgers, they ran a little play late in the game on 3rd and something, trying to get a first down. Just a little quick pitch in front of him to this Christian Watson.
Yeah.
The receiver, the guy that dropped the pass.
Yeah.
Against the Vikings. And he got blown up, just blown up. I mean, they killed him. And Rodgers greets him coming back to this huddle with this big smile on his face. Like, what'd you think of that? He just got hammered. But he seemed to have a couple of receivers that one thing they did was throw to to use the running backs a lot more than against the Vikings. But that was kind of funny. I didn't know why he was so happy. I think he was still mad at Watson earlier. But it was he's an odd duck, that's for sure. But
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Oh, anyway, I wasn't focused on it, but I happened to be watching at that moment.
Final thought, quick, Patrick. Our Loons are now suddenly in danger of missing the playoffs. Got drilled 4-1 by Sporting KC. Continuing, Patrick, our summer of mediocrity. Twins are 73-73. Minnesota United 13-13-6. All of the energy spent going to these games, talking about these teams, and they are exactly both 500. Now the Loons do still have a much better chance.
We have a 2-week international break. What are we breaking for? The World Cup field has been decided. The World Cup's coming up this winter. What is this about? Why are we doing this? That's why I hate soccer. The season starts and it ends That should be your priority. The team you're playing for should be your priority. This is America. This is not some godforsaken third world country that's got to go play Haiti. Let's just let the international schedule fritter around you. The soccer is bring back the kicks when their number one priority was playing in their own league. That's the way God intended it to be in the United States of America. Forget this foreign influence of international FIFA crapola. Play your season. If it's not your priority, then you're not a major league. You're a minor league. Okay.
I love it.
They
don't play. You're right. They don't play again until October 1st. Their season ends October 9th. Patrick, it must drive you crazy the length of these seasons because they play. What was their first game of this season? I believe their first, I think it was February 26th was their opener. So they opened like more than a month before Major League Baseball. They play 34 games, and it still takes them longer to finish their season than a 162 game baseball season.
Yes. It's because baseball doesn't take an international break.
They tend not to. No, they tend not to.
We're not playing for. In the middle of the summer, they don't play for 3 weeks. That's the season.
That's when you want. That's usually when you want fans in the stands. But maybe that's just how soccer goes. Well,
anyway,
we'll see if they can pull it out. They don't play again until October 1st, like I said, so they got time to regroup. Still in okay shape, but we were talking for a while, like getting a home game. That's not going to happen anymore.
I'm just sitting there waiting to find out which one is assigned the title Group of Death. That's what I can't wait for. The Group of Death. Have we determined which is the Group of Death?
I think there was. I think we've seen that the draw has been out for a while, right? So I think
forever.
Yeah. So I can't remember who the Group of Death is. Maybe
we're in the Group of Death.
We'll get more Group of Death talk as time goes on, I'm sure.
All right,
Patrick. Appreciate it. See you next week.
All right.